concurrent jurisdiction, just. Cause like where we, especially when we have, crimes against people. Deal with it, but like state agencies have a lot better. Yeah.
Right, let's get this thing started. So welcome to the LEPC meeting. We have a couple people online, it looks like. Good. And a good amount of people here in person. Thanks for coming. We're gonna switch it up and add the Pledge of Allegiance in today. Just feeling like doing that. So we got the flag right here behind me. So go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. So we got pizza there. There's a sink back there for water if you need it. The cups are up in the left-hand cupboard. Let's go ahead and get into a roll call, please.
All right, Bill Morrow,
Present.
thank you. Chris Capps. Richard Hammond,
Here.
Vince Holton. Vanessa Jusek. David Olson,
Here.
Chris Sparks.
Here.
Thank you, Vanessa Stone. Here. Jeff Truman,
Here.
Jason Young,
Here.
Brian Northcutt.
Here.
Seamus Sadal.
Here.
All right, thank you. There's quorum.
Awesome.
And I did just let Chris Capps and so I'm gonna count her present. Hi, Chris.
Perfect. All right, and wanna excuse Vince, he had a family emergency come up today, so he was not able to make it. I don't think I see any public here for public comment except these guys right now. Any public comment? Okay. So we got new membership applications to discuss. So we had four. Oh. Also, we got this guy. Did you have a public comment? Okay. So we've got four applications. We've got Triple Pool. And he put an application kind of in place of Trooper Minor retiring and resigning from the LEPC. And then we've got the three fire chiefs here who are interested in being on the LEPC, as that was a big part of what the LEPC was in the past, and it makes sense to have our emergency services on our emergency planning committee. So I guess let's go one at a time real quick and just see if there's any discussion, and then let's take a vote to accept them as new members of the LEPC. Does that sound like a reasonable process for now? Perfect. Megan Scholes, she's the Tri-Valley Fire Chief. Any discussion one way or the other? Megan, you want to give us you want to give us a quick little reason why you want to be on the LEPC?
Oh, I don't really want to be on that LPC. Of course. No.
I totally been twisting you.
No, it just, like you just said, it used to be the fire chiefs, and y'all have been having a lot of discussions, as of late that probably should include us. So.
All right. Let's go ahead and let's take a vote. Do we need to add a roll call vote or something? Or
You can just do any opposed.
any opposed to Megan Scholes joining the LEPC? And the seat currently that it would be is emergency management. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Well, thank you. Actually, I just want to highlight something as well. I was looking into it over the past couple of months. From the state's directions on number of members and things. It said that one member can represent multiple categories and you can have multiple members in one category. But we should seek to always have somebody representing each of the 6 categories, which we currently do, which is great. But having more in one is just fine. And if somebody that is the only person in a category resigns, we can look at maybe shifting where somebody is covering if it fits into their role as well. So let's go on and talk about Nathaniel Grimes, Fire Chief in Anderson, and Clear Security Forces EOC rep. You wanna give us a quick why?
Yeah, I'd like to join just to have a little bit more of a voice in the meetings, and it's really good stuff. We had a good successful fire season last year or this past summer, so yeah, I just want to help out more.
Perfect, thank you. And I'll just publicly call you out. You spelled your last name wrong. I fixed it though.
Did I? I probably did it. Was it Gurmet?
It was Girmes.
Yeah, there you go. That's the type line they make.
Any comment one way or the other, for Nate? All right, any opposed to Nathaniel Grimes being, on the LEPC filling an emergency management, category C? All right, no opposed, thank you. And then we'll go to, what am I getting at? Tess Marin, the McKinley VFD chief. And she's got her qualifications there. Anything from you? Why?
Similarly, just representing the village and the overall management, and staying involved in emergency services.
Perfect. Thank you. Any comments from anybody? Any opposed? You're in. All right, and then we've got Aaron Poole, trooper, coming into the category law enforcement, filling that hole after Joel resigned. Want to give us a why?
Yeah, happy to come in and take over for Sergeant Minor since he's gratefully retiring. He's well earned it and didn't want to leave any sort of lapse. Plus the importance of interagency communication and cooperation is always a boon for any emergency response.
Awesome, thank you. Any discussion? Any opposed? All right, thank you. So wanted to do that early on in the meeting, so we have four new members for the discussions throughout the rest of this meeting. Because we meet somewhat infrequently, it would be kind of a shame to have you here, have you become members at the end of the meeting. So welcome to the LEPC. All right, approval of agenda. Sorry, here, or can I hear a motion to approve the agenda, I guess?
Motion to approve.
Second it.
Awesome. Any opposed to approving the agenda? All right, hearing none, the agenda is approved. And then we'll go on to, so communications and public appearances, we don't have any today, so we'll skip that one. On to approval of the minutes, same thing, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any opposed? Well, actually, any discussion? We're supposed to do that. No, any opposed to the approval of the minutes? All right. Write it in stone, it's forever. Reports, I'll go into my emergency manager report real quick. I sent it out, so it'll be super quick highlights. Now is when I have to call myself out. I made a bunch of typos in there, so you're not alone, Nathan. Got a cybersecurity grant. We had some folks come in for the borough and do a risk assessment here, and just learned a lot about cybersecurity. Very important. And now we have kind of a list of tasks and measures that can be taken to just make ourselves more secure on that front. There was no major issues found, so that was good. Community Wildfire Defense Grant. This one is very important. GVA was not awarded the grant. They are preparing for when the next grant cycle opens up to put a grant application in. And that was for clearing power lines from the north to the south of the borough, clearing all the lines. And also beyond their easement into private properties. They'd have to seek permission, but into private properties where any tree was tall enough to land on the line. So getting hazard trees for the power lines. We've seen the importance of that over the past few weeks down in McKinley Village and Cantwell, as a specific section has dropped quite a few trees on the lines, and they've been dealing with a lot of power outages. GVA did reach out to Aetna to get permission to go out and take hazard trees off of their land down there, and they got that permission pretty quickly, which is awesome. We've been working on communications with Aetna since we were doing the CWPP process a little more than a year ago now. And that communication line has really helped out on that timeline. So they're gonna be down there just after Thanksgiving and doing some work. They've got a couple different pieces of equipment. They're gonna be taking down some whole trees and also just topping some trees that are tall enough to fall into the line to try and give more reliable power down there. But that just emphasizes the importance of the work that we're trying to do with that grant. And GVA is trying to make it more of a priority now that it's definitely hit where those beetle killed trees are dying and blowing over in the wind a lot easier. Tri Valley School generator is still being built, gonna be shipped to us. It was supposed to come in August. It's now scheduled to show up in like February. And that was purchased with State Homeland Security Program funds. And we're trying to get that project finished up. It likely won't be actually connected until the summer because of the cost of installation higher than we anticipated. So we got to make sure that we've got funding and where that comes from and go through that whole process. A note that Trooper Joel Miner resigned and Rick Peterson resigned from the LEPC. Want to thank them for the basically 2 years that they were serving on the LEPC and helping us as we went through the annoying parts of getting up and running and trying to figure out our paperwork stuff. Now, I think we're about to get into the fun part where we actually get to work on plans and do things that seem a little more relevant. And then a reminder to renew your membership if you're interested in continuing to serve on the LAPC and your term is up this year. We have 3, and that would be Vanessa Jusek, Richard Hammond, and Chris Capps. If you're interested in continuing, I did put a fillable application in the email, so you can fill that out and send it back. If you're not interested in renewing and being on the LAPC, the sooner you let me know, the better, so that I can either see if that empties a seat that we need to find somebody to fill, or if your position already has multiples that category. And we hope that you stay. And in case you decide not to, thank you for, again, the 2 years that you've been serving on the LAPC. Grateful for your help. And then a quick note of the LAPCA, the LAPC Association, which is all of the LAPC representatives in Alaska, coming together twice a year. The LAPCA meeting was canceled this year, or this fall, because of Typhoon Halong and the state resources being put to that rather than running that meeting. So it was canceled, potentially postponed. I kind of bet it's not gonna happen. But we all submitted our reports beforehand anyway, so it should be fine. That is my emergency manager's report. Any questions on that from anybody? I wait for it to get awkward and then we can be done. All right. Chief Sparks, were you gonna be able to to give us a tier 2 report?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'll go here. Let me pull this up for you. Can you see that? Amber, can you move
Yeah, I can see it.
folks out of the way? Give me just a second here. There
I
we go.
have it in front of me too, but so
So, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I'm not sure if everybody in the meeting maybe even knows what tier 2 reporting is. So real quick, just not to insult anybody's intelligence, but if you don't know what it is, all tier 2 reporting is a mandatory annual report that's required. It's required under the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act for facilities that store hazardous materials. It's all because its focus is for primarily community safety and for informing emergency responders during situations where they need to know that stuff. So that's kind of I guess the definition version of what it's for. Before we ever walk into a facility as a first responder, we already know what that community hazardous storage or hazardous material facility or has in their facility before we ever have to walk in the front door. So there's a bunch of different requirements as far as who needs to report, as far as quantities and all of that stuff. I can get you more information if anybody needs it to understand. Hey, do I need to report? Do I not need to report? Basically, if you have things like any kind of hazardous chemical that's like 10,000 pounds or more, extremely hazardous substances, 500 pounds or more, like things like that. So if you're not sure, like I said, let us know. We can kind of guide you to what's required and what's not. All of those quantities are required annually to be reported by March 1st. And again, that's primarily just so your emergency response commissions and your LAPCs and local fire departments know what you're storing at your facilities. So enough about that. So in the borough, from what we have reported, that list that you see on the screen is all of the entities, if you will, the companies and the facilities that have reported as of 2024. So in other words, those are, for lack of a better term, those are all good to go. And then there's another part of this where you actually can see what each of those locations store in quantities and where they're stored at those locations. And I mean, I don't need to go through each one of these because obviously you guys can see them as well. But there are some that we wanted to point out that may not be up to date, that were previously on the reports, let's say years ago, and currently they're not. And that would be, I don't know if you have that or not, but yeah, like, so the AmeriGas propane Healy plant, the tank farm, the new Singular Wireless, the Cantwell AT&T site, and then the other AT&T site as well. Those are the only ones that I'm seeing that used to report but are no longer doing it. And I personally can't tell you 100% why or why not. But if there's one of the other big things out of all this is if your company or if you know of a company or somebody that's not on this list that you think should be, then that should definitely be identified and brought to our attention as well, so that we can get those folks on board to help us out. That's pretty much it, Forrest.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. So with that, you can see here, the filing year. So AmeriGas, the last time that they filed, was in 2019 for 2018. And then a couple days in 2020 for 2019, 2020 there, 2023, 2023. So, I'm wondering if they just missed doing it or, if they stopped operating, you know, what some of these are. And we're not necessarily an enforcement, you know, operation here, but it's all about the community right to know. That's why LEPCs were created, was to know what hazards are in the community. And I guess I want to hear some thoughts or feedback now that we're to this point where we're actually knowing how to use this site, pulling this up and saying, okay, these couple haven't reported. Is there something that we would like to do? Should we reach out to these businesses and try and say, are you still operating? Can you update? How's that look? And I want to just throw it out there.
Yeah, I don't,
Mark isn't on there, but I've been working with our safety officer to figure out if we do have the quantities to report. Which I see in some of those other businesses, I kind of think that we do if they do have enough to report. We have similar stuff, but
Is that Rick online?
I was Brian Northcutt from the railroad.
There you go. What were you saying?
Hey, yeah, I don't see any problem with reaching out and giving them a call. And I just wanted to kind of update everybody since Forrest had reached out to you before. We are probably going to be filing a tier 2 report here pretty soon as well. I know we're not on the list right now, but through my venturings around in railroad property, I've found some stuff that I pretty sure is going to be considered storage there. So I would be looking for that in the near future from us. We're just not 100% sure right now. Our main hazmat guy's in the process of retiring, so trying to pick up his pieces as he goes. So, but yeah, right now I would say probably here within the next 3 weeks, we will probably be filing the E-Plan tier 2 report for us.
Awesome. And is that for specific sites like the Healy and Cantwell rail yard type things?
Yeah, so what we've got is it's thermite that we use to weld the rails together. It's placarded as 4.1 flammable solid. And I'm pretty sure, and this is why we're talking to our hazmat guy, but I'm pretty sure that any quantity of 4.1 flammable solid is reportable. And right now we've got a couple pallets of it at Healy that I think is going to be long-term storage there. And maybe like a half a pallet long-term storage in Cantwell there at our, we call section. So yeah, right there by the railroad tracks of each one of the Healy and Cantwell.
Perfect. You know, I don't know why this hasn't clicked before. Maybe everybody else, it's obvious. When we have a wildfire in the area, I should probably be checking to see if we got any portable businesses or whatever in that wildfire area so that the incident command team can know some of those hazards that are there. I don't know if they're already checking that in some way, but that's probably a good thing to just offer up and say, hey, you know, Clear is a tier 2 reporter. You can look that up, or I can give them the report on it or whatever if there's a fire near there.
and you add it as maybe you just can open a sub layer on your maps there where you just click on the facility, like if it's clear space, where you click on it, it pops up, like links right to this of all this stuff.
I wonder if we could have a specific, you know, the buildings that are or areas that are tier 2 reporting be a orange, you know, dot on there, and then they can see where there's some close. They could click on it and hopefully, you know, pull it up. So a layer.
Is that a public accessible site?
This will be eventually. It's not yet.
Is this information okay to release to the public?
It's a good question.
That'd be what I would.
Yeah, I think you want to be careful.
Maybe we need to make sure that whatever layer is only
Like maybe the railroad doesn't want them to know they got 2 pallets of thermite. Say out there.
Traditionally, it has been like this is kind of the body to, you know, so if the public is concerned, they come before this body and the body knows and.
Sure.
But have they published like amounts or?
It's basically through the coordinator, through the committee, so that's because, whoever has access, the reporters obviously have access, but then the local or the local emergency response committee, I, basically my hunch is, yes, it is public.
Okay.
And it's on, facility owner operators to protect that.
Secure their sites.
Yeah, secure, yeah.
From a response standpoint, though, I'm assuming they probably still have MSDS sheets, probably logging all of their stuff there too. In case that they didn't update their stuff.
In theory.
And I'm sure they're supposed to.
Should even be.
And like you said, it's placard in that as well.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you for that, Brian. That's good to know, and we'll look out for that. I was also thinking about this with the deadline of the reporting supposed to be in March. Maybe we get an update on this in our spring meeting, and then we can just kind of Chief Sparks can do a quick look before our fall meeting to see if there's anything new to update on, but kind of get a once a year update after that deadline when they should have reported for a quick report out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, roger that. And I also plan, as soon as we get like actual quantities of what we have, where exactly it's at, I planned on just reaching out to you and giving you a heads up as well before we even file our E-plan.
Awesome. Thank you. What do you think about that, Chief Sparks, about doing kind of a once a year report on looking at exactly what we just did, and then in the fall looking to see if there's any new reporters maybe that came in?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I can't think of many reasons why we would have to do that more than once a year. I would say priority definitely for now should be to clean up this list or somehow try to update to get the most current information, because I don't honestly know what's 100% still accurate and what's not. So
One was Latest on there with their tank farm.
I don't think so.
Main list.
Let's see. Not seeing it. Yeah, it seems like each of the fuel stations,
Yes, how much fuel do you need to have?
it seems like each of them should have enough to report on.
Chris, maybe you can speak to this, but I think the thresholds for gasoline and diesel are different. Is that right?
I think they are.
Than other flammable liquids. I think that's
It could just be a waiting for them to do it.
they basically exempt fuel station.
At one point, I know it was like 10,000 gallons or something, or 10,000 pounds. I think is what it was. So they did it in pounds for the diesel fuel.
Diesel's what, like? So 8 pounds a gallon?
Something like that. I'm not sure.
So what is it, many gallons?
We have access to those specifics to go and look that up. But I think that's something I'll take away is check on fuel stations needing to be reporters. And then see what their quantities are maybe.
It says on their website, compressed gas is equal to or more than 1,000 cubic feet at a standard temperature or pressure. Bunch of lists, hazard chemicals or hazardous material other than one described above, which is poisonous gas and explosives, of subsequence if handled in a single day in the amount equal to or greater than 10,000 pounds. So we have a daily quantity finding that much. I don't know how much bags holds.
That's that 10,000 pounds I was recalling, I think.
We just got clarification from our ace in the hole, tier 2 reports are.
Okay. They are public?
They are now.
They are now. Yeah. This is why we.
But I think this would be the venue where if the public city center, you know,
Yeah,
they
they
could
bring
bring
their
their
companies,
companies.
yeah, sure.
Thank you for checking on that. Okay. Any other discussion on the tier 2 reporting? All right, well, thanks for that report, Chief Sparks, and I think we'll move forward with kind of that annual spring report after the deadline, and then we'll do a quick check before the fall meeting. To see if there was any that businesses that came in late in the year or something that start reporting. We will move on to the next agenda item. So the nominations and membership policies and or procedures, thanks for those who were able to take the time and read through that and send me some updates. There's some good updates in there. I compiled pieces and parts from everybody, referenced it back to our bylaws. I tried to make sure that it all was cohesive there. There was a couple, oops, sorry, let me pull that up. There's a couple pieces that I edited to make it a little bit simpler than it was, and some had suggested in there. Specifically in the vacancy procedure. Amber, can you minimize the videos again, please? Thank you. So the number 1 under vacancy procedures, public posting, all committee vacancies will be advertised until filled. And I put a little parenthesis in there and said one of the required 6 categories with no representation. After reading the state's LAPC requirements and things, that we don't need to, if somebody like one of the chiefs who are now in the emergency management role, we already have multiple. If one of them decided they can't do it anymore, they need to resign. We don't necessarily need to go seeking to fill that spot. It's not an empty category. So trying to clarify that to make sure that we aren't just replacing every single person that ever decided to join, but making sure the categories are filled. I think most of the rest of it seemed to be cohesive from what everybody else was putting in. Did anybody have any comments to add to this from reading it beforehand? All right. So this gave me a really good opportunity, like I said, to dig into those bylaws from the state and our own bylaws. And this helps give me a little more direction when we're seeking somebody to fill the role.
Forrest,
Yeah, go ahead.
what about the number of people on the committee?
So is that mentioned in here, or are we talking about in
Well,
bylaws?
I don't see it. And I know when we talked about it earlier, it was like 15 people. It seemed like too many.
Which is currently what we have. We have 15
Oh.
right now, and that is a lot.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize.
It is a lot that we have right now. And I think that's a good point, you know, and I know that you and I talked at least once in looking at the size of our assembly, looking at the size of planning committee and other things throughout the borough. There's a lot of people to have on board, and that's exciting to have this many people on board. And as long as they're active members, I don't see any issue with it. And reading into the states, it said there shouldn't be a maximum of how many committee members you have. Now, doesn't mean we have to accept every single application that comes in, but if we have interested participants in this, it kind of seemed to discourage turning people away from coming to serve. But I think that reading the states, having one person be able to cover multiple categories if needed, if there's a time where we don't have many available people to serve on the LAPC, we could operate with 3, 4, 5, if that's where we are at that time. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah, I just know at the last meeting, there was some despair that there were only like 6 people at the meeting, and 15 just sounded like a lot. And as you said, we had to reduce the number of other boards in the borough. But,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to check on that.
Perfect. And it definitely was nice when I read that. I did not realize before that somebody could cover multiple categories. That was nice. And we do have, encouragement in here for having an alternate. And I think it's not an alternate for every person as much as seeking to have an alternate for each category. So if we have multiple in emergency management, nobody's necessarily an alternate because you're all primary members right now, except with the exception of Bill Morrow being an alternate who's filling in for the seat that was vacated in the environmental seat. But everybody else is a primary seat. So as long as we have multiple people in it, I'm not that concerned about seeking alternates. Chris, for your seat, you got a special seat with the media. If you decided that you have served your time on the LAPC and need to step away, that's great. If you could give us ideas for an alternate, that would be helpful. But there's a couple things, like yours specifically is a hard one. I just don't know who else we filled it with exactly. Maybe a PIO type qualified person might help us in that same realm.
I mean, either that or we could still use her if even though she's not on the committee, we can still have a point person feed her information and use her as a resource, but not actually have to.
So somebody here represent media and just make sure to have the connections, something
like that.
Because we are required to try to have somebody representing the 6 categories, one of which is media. And if we don't have somebody, and it's fine, I'm not saying you gotta be on it forever, Chris, but if we don't have somebody, then we are continuously advertising for that. It's advertised till filled.
Well, there hasn't been much for the media person to do these first 2 years, but I also know we're still just getting started. And of course, I would help even if I wasn't on the board.
Well, and again, this is not trying to, get anybody to commit to another 2 years if you're not interested in it. But in the new business part, I want to talk about making things more relevant in our new meeting schedule and things relevant for each of our committee members. Because I agree, it has not been very exciting. There hasn't been a lot of relevant topics for multiple people on the LAPC. So, thank you. Any more discussion on that? All right. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to kind of approve the nominations and memberships policy and procedure as is for us to use when we need to seek filling a vacant seat or a vacant category or seat like the chair or vice chair. Officer, there we go.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Perfect. Any further discussion on that from anybody? Any opposed to approving that procedure, the policy and procedure as is? All right, then it is passed, and that'll be something that I'll use to guide in the future as we have vacancies. Thank you. All right, so this is where the meat of the meeting here, evacuation zone maps. I'm pretty excited about where we are at this point. And I want to go ahead and discuss it. Want to hear any feedback you guys had, scrolling through and see if we have some good reasonings for option one or option two. I can tell you which way I lean. I like option one a lot, but I want to hear from the LEPC on kind of recommendations for the borough to use one of these sets of evacuation zones. So I'll just open it up. Anybody, any comments from looking at it?
Well, I guess my real question, Forrest, is for your most recent fire this summer. I know you guys are using like a draft version of this, but how did it go? I mean, what did it work out with using the what you guys had, or what do you know? What did you guys take from it?
What we ended up doing was taking it and adapting it because we weren't quite ready to use it. But I can tell you it did go much quicker in creating those zones than in the past, as we had some that were already generally made, but I hadn't dug into the specifics quite as much. And this fire helped me understand a lot of reasoning of why the boundaries are the way they are now. Because this fire, I learned a lot from on ramping up as the fire is getting bigger, and then also ramping back down. And the considerations for both of those was put into this. And I guess the quick answer is it helped us be able to create the zones a little faster, but we weren't able to use these zones that we had created because they weren't refined enough yet at that point.
I would say it helped articulate to the outside resources too, like the local verbiage for the areas and stuff before they just went ahead and started naming stuff on their own, you know?
Yeah. And we did have already some of those names in place, and I think that was probably the best thing that we were able to steal and use quickly was the names of some of those. Any other thoughts from browsing before the meeting? Okay, I'm gonna quickly go over a couple features and then I'm gonna jump into doing a quick overview. And it'll take a couple minutes because we got the two options and I wanna hear what you guys have to say on those two. So real quick, the address, what did he put? Address count. So this was a feature that you guys were kind of interested if maybe we could eventually add stuff like this in, and we were able to get this in there already. So if you go to, let's say, Central Healy, and you click on that evacuation zone there, right here up on the left, it shows 150. What that is 150 addresses. So people who've applied for an address, but from the borough, there are 150 of those within that zone. And this gets broken down and shows every single address throughout there. This is internal use right now, not something that we're putting out there for everybody to go see everybody's address. I anticipate in the future that it may, kind of be a public thing as you drive down a street and see an address sign. It's kind of public, so I anticipate it probably will be in the nearish future, but it's not yet. And it's really, gonna be a help to be able to say, wow, we got 150 addresses. We know that not everybody's addressed. That's gonna be a lot of traffic in that little area trying to get out in a quick time. So that'll help make decisions on how quickly we need to get people moving so they're not clogged up and causing accidents or just going slow, backing up for a long time. If we go look at, let's make it relevant to this past summer and click on June Creek area. We got 25 addresses in there. To be honest, I would have had no idea that there's 25 addresses to be had in there. And that's definitely not all of the people in there. So it's a good starting point to say there's 25 people that took the time to request an address and how many more that haven't.
That's the most comprehensive kind of data you guys have.
It's the best we got right now. And it's something, you know, and especially with it being this recent for the next 3-4 years, we can say, these are brand new addresses. Each one of these that's in there, we probably need to protect because there's probably somebody living at every single one of these addresses. You know, so that's something that can help the fire team coming in understand what's at threat, you know, at risk back there.
Definitely eye-opening going in through there, telling people to evacuate this past summer.
Yeah.
From door to doors, a lot back there.
Yeah. There's one of the interesting ones is I don't think we're gonna have. Yeah, we got one in Anderson right now. That's the fire station.
What can I say?
And that's because Anderson, the city of Anderson has their own addressing system and has their own addresses there. So we haven't yet tried to extract out those addresses and incorporate it into this, or see if the city of Anderson is interested in also adopting the borough addressing system and readdressing there. So that's kind of an interesting little gap on that data there. But you know, we got some things that we're going to be continuing to work on over the next couple of years. So that was a cool tool that kind of came from the group here, bringing that up. It would be good to have some data of who's in these different areas. So I'm going to quickly go through, and I want to hear if, as I'm going through, just cut me off because there's like 40 or something zones. So I want to give you the names and show you the general boundaries. And if anybody has a question on what those boundaries are, or if you have a suggestion of a better name because you know more local terms, I'd be very interested. So we'll start in the north. Got City of Anderson. It's going from the river, the borough line, Space Force Station, and the highway. We got Clear Space Force Station. They have their own boundaries. We've input that there. North 40, that's the local designation for this area out here. It's nothing official, but that's what the locals back in this area call it. Rosehip Creek is an actual creek out here that there's a subdivision on. It's Clear Sky subdivision, and trying to avoid the name Clear Sky, as we have Clear Sky Lodge as well and Clear Space Force Station. The more we try and use the same word, the more potential confusion there is, as has been proven in the past in this area. Kobe Road, trying to just identify as the front area. If we say Kobe, it could kind of reflect the whole area back there. And this one actually comes down to mile 273, so it incorporates Piano and I think it's Stay Out Road. We've got Clear Sky Lodge on the east side or the west side of the highway, east of the river. Some pretty clear boundaries there. Rochester Lodge on the opposite side of the highway, milepost 277 to 281. Landfill is going to go from 281 up to the north borough boundary there. Anderson shape is an interesting one because of where the clear boundary goes. I don't have a perfect description on like the highway marker on that, but what I'll probably do is I'll probably either say milepost 285 or Quarry Road or something, and this will be not in the verbiage, but clearly in the zone map. So there's a couple of those that we had to play around with and try and do what makes sense. Rex Trail is quite a large area, and the intention is egress. That's the intention of most of these evacuation zones are broken up by egress routes and egress time. So Rex Trail, it goes pretty wide and far because a lot of these areas have to come back through trails and things and are going to have a greater time to need to get out than some of these that are right on the highway. Tatlanika, there's a Tatlanika gift shop up there, and we couldn't find much else that seemed like widely known and clearly identifiable. So that's what we went with that one. We've got Bear Creek right here. Somebody's got a super awesome name that's on this side of the road. I'd be interested, because Bear Creek clearly comes way out here as well. But on this side, there's the bear statue at that pullout in this zone. The Bear Creek definitely goes underneath and into this area. And we separated that from the other side of the highway being June Creek, which encompasses a lot of the Bear Creek folks out there. But we've got Ferry, another of the large zones that goes somewhat rural. Look, there's 6 addresses in there. And that encompasses also the wind farm up at the top there. When it comes to Ferry, we definitely have Ferry Road, which comes off the highway that people would, there's potential confusion there. But what we did was we called this zone Rock Creek / Ferry parking. And I talked with a couple of residents out there. They said they absolutely called it that. They would totally recognize it by that. So that was nice. Magpie, it's its own weird little zone. And I kind of got that from this year's fire. They're just not really connected up to June Creek. And so they were able to stay in their homes much longer. I think they did eventually go into a go status, but it was much less time. Slate Lake, I almost wonder how many people even know where Slate Lake is in here.
I do.
A couple of the the old timers in the area. Slate Lake is not really accessible, very easily accessible, but it's off the highway. It's got Slate Creek coming from it that goes down under the road. Seems like a reasonable name.
I guess the only other Ridgetop is also a popular name, and I like the Ridgetop Cabins.
Ridgetop Cabins was my first go-to, but what I did was I was looking at it, and Ridgetop Cabins is now a tiny little portion of road on the top of Monkey Wrench Road. And how many people have heard Ridgetop Cabins spoken in the past 5 years? It seems like there just isn't as much. I don't know. I haven't really heard of it.
I hear a lot of locals still refer to it.
Yeah, I think locals.
The locals do. I haven't heard it. But
We get called out to Ridge Top.
so do you think Ridgetop makes more sense there? I mean, I'm fine if it does.
That makes sense. We know where Slate Lake is.
And I think with a little bit of public education, either one of them would work, but Ridgetop is probably quicker to, like, for more people to identify right away, I think. So, what do you guys think? Should we?
Down to like someone who doesn't know and you go to Google, I bet you somewhere like Ridgetop would be sooner than Slate Lake. Slate's on Slate Lake, so someone who didn't know how to go to Google.
It's true.
And hopefully there'll be some sort of education campaign with this up learn what area they were.
So I'm feeling like it actually makes sense to switch that to Ridgetop, and I'm on board with that if that's the general consensus. Anybody online? Haven't been able to hear from you much on that.
Yeah, it sounds good from my perspective. For Seamus here.
Awesome. Write that down real quick. And there is Ridgetop Road as well, up there. So you're right. If you Googled something, Ridgetop Road is a thing that would show up. Even if that business ends up going away someday or something, that road still exists. They'd be able to link to. So I like that. We've got Healy Transfer Station. That's from Pangini Creek up to mile 258 and then river to road. Lake Night, creek to creek, river to highway. Stampede, so that goes out 8 miles on the road out there, and it also incorporates this trail or this road out here that goes out to the zip lines. That's kind of a geographic lumping in of being on that side of the creek. If a fire's running in that area, it can, with no barriers, reach either of those places really. So down here, we've got Central Healy, and there's kind of a funky line drawn from milepost 248 down to south of the bridge going over that ain't out of there. And so that'll incorporate the rail yard and then, the main subdivisions, the school, this building, main area there. Ranch Road, this is the most interesting shape we have in here, and it goes back again to the egress routes. So there's this little road here that can go down from Otto Lake down to Ranch Road, but that is definitely not something that we will ever really encourage as a way that people should go. So we want to make sure that they are looped in with Otto Lake so that they all have their egress route connected. Also, all of this area up here is higher up. The landscape changes there. So that's why that shape is there. Also, somebody brought up recently, and I would definitely, I think it was you, yeah, when Megan and I were talking, the difference between closing Ranch Road down from maybe a fire that's happening down here, one day or 2 days later or something. Not sure what it's just did. 1 or 2 days difference is the difference of having a grocery store open for a couple more days, a gas station, evacuating the Princess employee housing, which is many more people. So there's a lot of aspects and factors that put into that shape. Would people know where Poker Lake is? I found a lack of knowledge of where Poker Lake is.
I think if you just said poker, like you said.
So we were talking before the meeting, looking at some of these maps back here. Maybe we just put Poker and get rid of the word lake, as there's Poker Flats out there. There's Poker Lake, Poker Creek. You can refer to a bunch of those different things. Other thoughts on that? Local knowledge, input. I think let's get rid of lake. It'll still reference all those same things out there, so. So we had this before. I had it as UCM, or we're gonna call it coal mine, to separate it out from their headquarters, which are down here. And the reason that we cut this little shape out is because I was really thinking about if we got a fire up here, which we, have had coal seam fires and stuff, but if we had a fire that started to break loose, maybe it's time to shut down some of the operations, but not necessarily evacuate Wagaman Village and the power plant down in this little corner. So trying to really take into account for where people are. And, you got the Usabelli Coal Mine headquarters here and the power plant in Wagaman Village. Does that seem like it needs any adjustments right away from anybody? Perfect. Otto Lake, I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. Loops in those roads there. Cemetery, again, with that interesting kind of slant line there. But there's some of this area up here that is going to be higher up and affected in different ways, and definitely different egress than down in central Healy. So I wanted to disconnect those. Dragonfly Creek is from Windy Bridge, which I've worked out verbiage for each of these zones. So every single zone, I have a point that says north boundary, west boundary, south boundary, east boundary. So that we can quickly go, all right, Amber, we're doing Dragonfly Creek and Bison Gulch, and she has exact terminology on getting that public education out there of what's happening and what those boundaries mean. So that comes down to milepost 240. And that meets up with the zone that right now is the canyon. It was previously, I think, suggested as Glitter Gulch. And to be honest, I'm back to liking Glitter Gulch, so good job for convincing me. But some folks like the canyon better. Like to hear some discussion on that.
I think both are.
I think Dan Vanessa, when she was here, make the argument from kind of the chamber's perspective, but they're really trying to move away from that.
Oh, yeah,
terminology, I think.
Massachusetts,
Yeah, do that, yeah.
not this.
That's right. So
Well, I'll tell you that, I have spent many hours in DNR with the land expert trying to find some mention of Glitter Gulch, and there is no mention. It's just something that we've made up as a local community. I try not to use it in my writing because business owners don't appreciate it. But
Well,
that's what everybody calls it.
I can give you a quick little hint. I talked to some of the GMs down there, the general managers for the big hotels today, and they don't care. So just so you know, they are just fine with Glitter Gulch.
Well,
But
maybe it's the small business owners.
then it's the small business. I
don't like it.
didn't reach out to all the small business owners.
I haven't surveyed recently, so maybe that's something to check on.
They don't care. But if the canyon is easily identifiable, we don't have any other names like that throughout.
For tourists, not normal, who's going to be living there, evacuating there, which one are they gonna rezone for two more?
To be honest, I don't know either.
I don't know either, but
I don't know.
now I'm in the canyon, I'm at the Canyon Lodge, I mean, I don't know.
Mileposts.
Maybe, not the ones that are getting bussed in or trained in, they're not gonna know mileposts.
Right.
The independent traveler might, but.
I don't think the tourists will go by Glitter Gulch.
I actually had this conversation recently with my daughter, and I referred to it as the Glitter Gulch, and she corrected me. She says, "Because you're an old person." I guess the younger generation doesn't recognize that. They call it the canyon. So, it is what it is. So I guess the folks that are older, like this one here, Glitter Gulch, everybody else, I think the newer names, what they're going by is the canyon.
So here's the question, do we wanna revive or let it die? I'm just kidding.
I think it's
So we're gonna-
transitioning to a canyon.
So we're gonna go with the canyon, is that what the consensus out here?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. And it's a funky, offshoot up here, but I didn't have a good marker down here, to use. Mile 239 is just in the wrong spot of, well, once we corrected it, actually, it's a little bit better. There was a glitch in our mile markers that had it, and it's sitting in a weird spot. So then we got a break here in between the zones, and that is the park land there. And I've talked with Sarah Hayes and Brooke Merrill, and they're interested in having zones that the park has or is going to make, I don't know exactly where they sit with that process, integrated into our map so that when we have a fire that affects both areas, they can give us direction on what that zone should be, and then we can go ahead and do that, so that people aren't having a gap in their knowledge when they're seeing public information put out. So we'll be working on that in the future. All right. So coming into McKinley Village area here, we've got Krabby's Crossing down here. And this is essentially the commercial area, being separated from the residential, and again with the egress. While this road here is really close to that, the way they get out is coming south, not coming this way. So trying to make sure that consideration. Yannert Road, that's the biggest road coming up through all this. Denali Airstrip right here. This zone, and a couple of these were changed in the past day or two. So if you're seeing things that look a little different than you looking at it 4 days ago, what I've got now, I feel is pretty good, but 4 days ago, it still needed a little help. So 229, I think most of us are gonna know what 229 means. Not too long in the future, people won't really remember it, in 10 years. I don't have any other super identifiable road name. There's no road names in this section.
The only other thing that I've ever heard anybody refer, like, just because the bus stop is there, that's where the pullout is. That's where ultimately they all pull into, load up onto the bus for the kids, that sort of thing.
Is that this one right here?
Yeah, that one right there.
The bus stop. Is that identifiable enough?
I need to be more identifiable in the bus stop, because as someone
Yeah.
has children, I don't care where they get dropped off. I mean, I don't know. I unfortunately.
Well, and I think that there are other bus stops also.
Yeah.
Maybe you say the 229 bus. stop.
We also talked about the bluff, because I think the people who live on that side of the highway right there might say they live on the bluff, but again, that's kind of close to the bluff. So
I think 229 is probably.
So my short-term plan was to go with 229, but there are some roads that are being expanded out here. There are a couple of properties that qualify for road names and things by having enough residential structures on it. I'm interested in maybe seeing if any of those people would like to name the road, and then we can give a designation that has a highway sign at that point. So maybe that one gets a different designation in the future. I would like to not change the names very much, but 229 is just the fact that it's not an operation name. It's gonna make it 10 years from now a little less relevant. This one, I also would love some input. Shallow Pond. There's a little shallow pond over here that locals right there know, but I don't know if anybody would really
I
recommend.
wouldn't know where that is if you told me Shallow Pond. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe something better
Isn't
than.
there an old dump in there? I think there's an old dump road or something I've heard people refer to, I think.
I think that's down.
Except for the next
Is
one.
that
down.
this one?
Maybe that one,
This road here?
yeah, maybe that one then, yeah.
So that falls outside of that, unfortunately. If anybody knows, I mean, there's a couple of residences in here.
I like Greg's house.
And apparently, yes, one of them has a cool like tunnel or something. I said we call it tunnel house or. People don't have to know what that means.
Oh, I think Suzanne's one of the number, yeah.
Yes,
But I think that's what you said, I would.
Nicole was saying. It was okay.
I don't know anything, I just.
Well, if I put that, if that's a tunnel house, I'm gonna get to the west. So this is one that I could use some input.
Are they actively naming that road? Is that before the planning commission? I think.
I don't think so, but
No,
I was talking to Trina saying we should have them name that road.
What?
We should have them name this road because there's 3 or more residences down it, and that's kind of to the qualifications, 1,000 feet or longer or 3 more residences. So this one definitely could be named, and then that would make it also another good identifier.
Where the Christmas tree is.
The Christmas tree. There's a famous Christmas tree down
Yeah,
there.
they put lights on that Christmas tree every year at the start of the road.
Yeah. Can they leave it up all year round? It's not very helpful in the summer, maybe.
But yeah, that's the Nancaros and then Craig Hay, right?
Yeah.
That road is getting named.
Oh, that one is?
Oh, good.
Do you know what? Anyway, I might change the name of that one from Shallow Pond to something that actually makes.
I like a name change for that one, just because there's a lot of shallow ponds in that area. The Leaky Lakes are pretty shallow, right?
They are, but the Deniki Lake. So Deniki Lake's there. Coming down. We got Carlo Creek Road, so on this side. There's a couple roads and one of them is Carlo Creek Road. On the other side, calling it the Perch business over there. This area down here, Slime Creek. This one, again, could use maybe more help or knowledge. I've got 221 pullout. It's that, I wanted to call it the shortcut pullout, but that might give people bad ideas, trying to shortcut this corner here.
The rafters use any terminology? It's a big rafting launch spot, but is there a name they use or?
I think she was saying that's up here, that the grassy knoll is not right there. That's
There's another rapid that you can get out, I think, that might be.
a what? A rapid? Is there a rapid right there we can name it after? That'd be super cool.
I feel like that's one that like
Yeah, the bend and the.
is well known, you can spot from the road right there at the pullout you guys are talking about. I just forget what it's called.
Okay.
What's the form?
Well, please consider that and get back with me if you got something. This is not finalized, but we are pretty much like 98%, I feel like. Slime Creek continues all the way down, both of these two to 219. This one,
Residence does not have a name coming for that road. Is it not large enough?
which one?
Right in there in the.
This one?
below, yeah, there's some roads to go back in, but are they not gonna get named or?
It could be long enough, I don't know. Actually, it looks like it might be from this measurement. Looks like it might be 1,000 feet. As of right now, it's not though. And there's definitely, oh wait, this one you were saying has the. Oh no, that's the one up north, dang, that dump road doesn't fit anything. That's a bad. But I don't know what this is, this could have been something that has a designation to locals out there, I don't know. Alright, so I'm gonna move down to Panorama. So we've got Panorama here. This one goes across both sides of the highway because there's nobody here. There's, the only thing that's affected is kind of this pullout from what we can tell. So using the mountain panorama, and that comes down and loops into include the mine, is that what it is? This one we named like 45 minutes before you guys showed up, North Reindeer. This is Reindeer Mountain up here, Reindeer Hills. So on the north side of that. And there's one residence right there in that. And then we've got the nation on this side. That comes down to where the river narrows and then we have Central Cantwell. That includes the school, the trooper station there. Then we've got Community Hall. I talked to a couple of Cantwell folks asking if Tribal Hall is a name they know by or anything. They said Community Hall would be more universal. And I didn't want to put community center as we have community centers in multiple communities, but I feel like nobody really calls this the community center or McKinley a community hall for the McKinley one a community hall, right? I feel like very community center. Old Cantwell for over here. Cantwell Station. I broke this out, Peter Street, again with a highway break there. More defendable and defensible, I think. A little bit different geographically, Peter Street. Cantwell VFD. Drashner Lake. Talking to a couple of locals from Cantwell, they said that Fish Creek, I think is this creek right here. For an identifier there. I had no clue what to put that one, so grateful for their help there. These are kind of long zones, and if somebody's interested in me breaking them up, I can consider that. I haven't really thought about exactly where these might be broken, but Mirror Lake, which I believe is this one down here. And then this one is Summit, or the airport. So there's the option 1 zones. Option 2 is, I'll just show you 1 or 2 examples. It incorporates multiple into one. So calling this Cantwell Flats, lumping them in. This one over here, Old Cantwell, I believe. Name will show up. Yeah, Old Cantwell. So it's very similar, but lumping multiple into one zone. So with that, feedback if you have any, or I guess some silence if you just don't care.
I like option 1, specifically because this past summer, we were running into some residents of on Rex Trail. They were getting evacuated because on the other, like in the North 40s area, was in go status, and I forgot the name escapes me right now. But one of the residents was calling me quite often. He was pretty irritated, like, why were you having to get evacuated? We explained to him, like, in order to get out, in order for you to evacuate, you have to go basically towards the fire. But it makes sense for, like you have it in option 1, for those areas to be a little bit more broken up, so you're not just lumping too many people into one section that's going to be evacuated.
Well, it does require more areas and more names. It gives you more options than, well, I only need to really affect this area right now, not a huge chunk.
Not more compartmentalized.
For that new road name, it's gonna be Super Cub.
Super.
That's in the East Coast.
And,
Very good.
and you skipped over, I think you have it named Bison Gulch.
Oh, did I skip that one? Okay. Good catch. They're right here. Oh yeah, Bison Gulch, there we go. So that we got residents, RV park and trailheads, things like that, trying to put in there. And this cuts off, I think we got it lined up to the park boundary. But it goes right there, so, thank you, good catch. Super Cub, I like it. Any other input online?
No, I prefer the first one. Because you do have a field break with the highway in between some of those down there. You can evacuate one side or the other. And I think it was Chief Grinds that mentioned it alleviates overcrowding, getting everybody out at once. You can go, hey, I need this section to go here, and then we'll see how the fire's going. Then we'll evacuate this section if need be. So I'd go with one.
You have a weird question just from a niche sort of thing. Evacuation isn't great. Who's actually ordering the evacuation? The borough or the fire entity in charge using the borough as their mouth?
It's a good question. So, it's Chris that the authority falls back on.
Okay.
Chris delegates that to me by having me as the emergency manager. So if he's not around, I can call that. But it all falls back to the mayor having that authority. We get recommendations from fire chiefs, incident commanders, and, you know, boots on the ground.
The reason why I ask is ran into a situation where areas were ordered to evacuate, and under one particular section of statute, failure to evacuate at the order of a fire official is obviously a arrest or defense, but it specifically follows in line that it has to be some fire official in charge of that scene or that issue. So we obviously got through the fire season and didn't have to press that issue, but I always like making sure that there's a legal framework to stand on in case we had to take a more intrusive action.
So what we put out is evacuation recommendations. Evacuation statuses, not evacuation orders. So we don't kick anybody out of their house. If they want to defend until their house starts on fire, we can't tell them we're going to pull you out.
And now once forestry shows up and says, hey, you need to go, cool, easy.
If you personally grab somebody and drag them out and save their life, that's probably a good idea. But I don't know that that's your legal, from your position, right to do, you know? I don't know how all that works, but we put out evacuation statuses, evacuation recommendations. And then people act how they do. And
You come up Colby with me next summer.
yeah. June Creek was pretty good too. I had personal family members out there with people fighting the fire, and the firefighters were hosing them off and all sorts of good stuff. So it was good.
All right.
But just know that we can tell people there's a fire coming and that they're in a go status. But that's where we kind of stop.
Okay.
And road control has come up in years past as like, if the fire management organization says it's just not safe and there's not room for two-way traffic, for example. That's come up and it's been, I think we've been aware of the discussions, but it has been, I think, direct law enforcement to fire managers.
Yeah, that's an interesting factor that we got to deal with too, is June Creek is not a big road. You know, we need firefighters to be able to get in and out efficiently to protect homes, lives, property, all that stuff. So should people not go back there? Should the fire crew put up a fence, a gate, or something? I don't know exactly, but that's a factor we've been dealing with, and inevitably some people want to stay and they want to try to protect their home, feeling like they have their home has the best chance with them in it, you know? So.
And I don't feel like we see a lot of here with these, like when I go out of state and work fires as security, there's the authorities delegated. And yeah, if it's a closure or whatnot, we'll go in and physically remove like people who are living inside there if they're violating it or whatnot.
And doing, it is different too, having like a forest closure, like a park closure or something.
Right.
I think they do have the authority to say, get out, like,
Oh, yeah.
we're forcing you out, you know? Whereas we're a little bit different. That's good questions. Anybody else on evacuation?
But I guess you guys in the Tanana zone though, can they close it? Would you have to delegate your authority
For what?
to them, Chris? Cause you guys are under the Tanana zone for fire management, I believe. So if they would come in and manage.
Interesting. So forestry has responsibility for wildfire management on municipal, state, and private lands in the Denali Borough, kind of the north. For Cantwell, it's a little fuzzy in my mind, but yeah. So we kind of, our direct line is really, I think, through the state. Tanana zone, BLM, I think has anything federal north of the Alaska Range. So, and I think they work together
But
with the
they work
state, but
together.
our point of contact, I think, would be state.
Forestry.
For like, for making the evacuation statuses?
Well, more, I think, general coordination. Really, we're gonna work with the fire chief, whoever's the incident commander for the incident would be like, that's who we need to coordinate it.
We work with the incident commander until they're big enough organization to have liaison, and we work with the liaison. That's the way we go. And like you saw this summer, we go in and we sit down at a table and say, and we've got the ops chief and the liaisons and sometimes the incident commander there. And they're saying, here's what we're seeing, here's what we recommend. We take that and we either say, yeah, let's go with that, or we say, hey, let's make a little adaptation because we got some local knowledge about some factor, and then when we say what the evacuation zones are, then they act on that. They'll repeat it out with their public information, things like that. All right. I don't know that there's like official action we take with this, and it's mostly just building this product to prepare our communities for the future, as we know that the fires come around here. So now that we're prepared, there won't be any fires. It's great. So thank you, though. This has been kind of in the works for 1.5 years or so. And every single summer we see the need for it. And it's going to really make this a lot more streamlined, as what you're seeing here, the three of us, Chris, Amber, and myself. This is who responds in the first 5 hours of craziness of a fire, trying to determine, is it big enough that these guys are gonna get overwhelmed and need to call in more, or do we need to start drawing these up, trying to come up with terminology and boundaries and things. And it takes a lot of time for us to sit there and do that for every single area that might be affected. This is gonna speed this up to minutes rather than an hour, 2 hours sometimes, to try and make sure we're doing this with taking everything into consideration. And I really am interested in, at least on operational for myself, putting, like you said, a layer for tier 2 reporting entities that are near those areas. I think that would be a useful thing for the incident commanders to know about.
What about like kind of safety zones, like large gravel pits where if you're doing evacuation, but routes are cut off, people could gather?
I don't have those yet. We had talked about them before. What do we have there? Did we do that for one of the maps?
For the CWPP.
Oh,
map
it's in
product?
some of the CWPP product. So I need to look at combining some of the different products we have, but that's good. Let me put that. Yeah, adding safety zones, and that would be a good public layer, right? So having the evac map and then knowing where safety zones are outside of those that are evacuated.
We also talked about last time, marking a layer of things. Like, for example, you were talking about food items that needed to be evacuated, so it would be secondary. So primary would be the residents, then you have like the fire 2 years ago had a lot of spoiled food because it didn't get brought out of the zone.
Mhm.
to where the people were.
So. I guess, is that like a list of secondary considerations?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing?
Or maybe that's in some of like the ready phase messaging or something for people.
Yeah.
Cause when you're in a go, you don't want them to take time to
Yeah, right.
pack up.
And in this case, it was big businesses.
Sure.
It was like the employee cafeteria. They evacuated to the school, but their food didn't get evacuated to the school. It was.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, though. Maybe make that as part of the ready recommendations is consider items that can't be unattended, such as, and then food that may need to be moved somewhere else. And if you have a consideration of a lot of food like that, maybe that's in a set, you're trying to start dispersing that food or something. Because that will take some time and we don't want it slowing down the actual evacuation, but it's good.
And I'm taking a note from this too, in that I think we have kind of like a standard preparing for evacuation one pager, but it's really catered to residents. It's like, think of your pills, pets, the paperwork, those things, but maybe we have a one pager
For
specific
the
to
bigger
businesses. Yeah, it's like, think about accountability for employees or other kind
Well, and
of.
as they're getting talk, like I think the fire departments, community centers, school are getting generators, but has Princess or any of the other big players, I was blown away that didn't have generators during that fire and lost a lot of stuff. Have they done anything to better prepare?
I want to say that they now have some portable on-site type thing.
Okay.
I can't remember. Do you know? Have you heard anything from Ursula about any of that? I want to say that Rick was saying that they were working on getting some portable on-site type things.
Yeah, Forrest, I agree. I think they did get some. There was an incident, I think last summer, where they offered us some generators or generator backup if there was an issue at Canyon Clinic for medical support.
Awesome, thank you. So it's something that I know Rick was definitely, Rick Peterson was definitely talking about, like, they see the importance of it and they're talking about it.
Cause there's a lot of pressure to get the power back onto them, and it's just like, how did you not have generators for thousands of people?
Because it's been fine, it wasn't.
Well, and that's another thing that, could go into public education beforehand, like not when fire season is there, but for businesses of some of those considerations that they can have is, even if you're not necessarily evacuating, having backup power is an important thing for the businesses especially. Good.
I heard back that the Q20 pullout, the rapid there is called Pyramid Rapid, I think. Or sometimes referred to around Grassy Knoll, but there are a few different pullouts that can be considered that. Oh no, sorry, Panorama Rapid, so it wouldn't be helpful because it's Panorama, which is already named, so.
I feel like that grassy knoll that we hear often,
I feel like it would give it more.
and even if it's multiple spots, if it's all in that area.
So looking at Grassy Knoll again, potentially for that.
Or at least, yeah.
Or just call it rapids.
Say what?
Rapids.
Rapids.
It's not bad. Interesting. We don't have that. Anything else? That. Okay, can I give you an assignment?
Sure.
Can you do a little more research and find where those grassy knolls are exactly? So that's not confused with another zone potentially.
220, right?
221 pullout. See what the name is right now.
Yeah.
Welcome to get the first assignment.
Thanks for having me.
All right. This has been good discussion. Got about a half an hour left. I want to get jumping over into new meeting schedule potential. Unless there's any more, I'll give another 7 seconds of silence. If anybody else has any more thoughts. Time's up. All right, thank you. And please reach out if you feel like you see something later that makes sense for name or boundary change or something. So new business, new business. New meeting schedule, potentially thinking about this. So this is also part of the discussion of are our meetings being productive, being useful, or are we taking up people's time? That is not the goal of the LAPC. It's not a goal just to take up time and meet for no reason. We want to be doing productive things. And realizing the boat that we're all in the summer, I was considering not having an August meeting. So canceling that as it's kind of tail end of fire season in Alaska, definitely, start to mid fire season down in lower 48. A lot of us end up having responsibilities connected to these things. Summer season work, a lot of us are also connected with that. So I was considering not having that. And before you guys start talking about that, I want to kick out some other ideas along with it. I was also considering making our February meeting into a training/exercise meeting. So we'd have 2 business meetings a year. That'd be the April and November meetings, and then having like a training/exercise in February. And that would be where we really start to understand how we all fit into these responses, what our roles might be. And that'll come from 2 directions. One, the training and trying to show where you might fit in, and then also coming back from each of the LAPC members saying, here's also another resource I could add, or here's another thing that I could offer to this kind of a situation. With that, we'd be at 3 meetings a year, one of them being a training or exercise. And then I also had a thought or consideration of changing the schedule to make it easier to plan for. As the November one, every time we have to make it off its normal schedule because of elections. And that would be a schedule like the 4th Tuesday in October, the 4th Tuesday in February for that training, and then the 4th Tuesday in March for the other business meeting. I know February, March, it's 2 months in a row, but throwing out a couple different options there. And want to open it up for some discussion on if you want to keep it the way it is, add some training exercise, get rid of the August meeting, go for it.
I like the meetings later rather than earlier in the month.
On the 4th Tuesday? Okay.
I think training scenarios are very, very useful in groups like this. I've done like tabletop stuff with ICS, and I think it gives really good context.
Yeah, I don't mind what they get changed to or how often, as long as it's constructive. As long as we don't keep it on the second, like Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever of the month, because that seems like they use the second one in all these organizations across the board. So having it on the 1st, the 3rd, the 4th is much better. It kind of separates us and gives us that break.
So you're saying that being on the 1st Tuesday of the second month, like we've been doing, isn't an issue, but make sure to try and avoid that 2nd Tuesday.
Try to avoid the second, just like the borough meetings and like a lot of the local cities will have. It's always like the second. It's like the 2nd Tuesday or the 2nd Wednesday, or and they do that for a reason. They go, oh, so when it's going to happen, but everybody kind of sticks to that second, and your calendar fills up on those seconds.
Anytime for me. I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
I just have one at the beginning or just before, summer season things kick off, and after the dust is settled.
The current schedule is a May one. Is that a good timing, or would that 4th Tuesday in March be better, rather than a 1st Tuesday in May?
Probably, well, in our context, I mean, that's when our wildland program starts kicking up, is mid-May, so we have our guys there and they're doing their training stuff and everything like that, so it's pretty busy. It starts getting busy mid-May and, you know, probably March or April, be a decent time for our side of the spectrum.
And also looking at the calendar, the school has something on the fourth Tuesday already every month. Hi, Nate.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But the third is a,
I currently work every Tuesday, so whatever.
I think the third day off.
It's overtime.
Okay. I think the third Tuesday.
Third Tuesdays, okay.
That would run into Thanksgiving week probably. For the November meeting.
So that, I mean, we could then pull it into October, like I was kind of talking about with March and October, something like that.
On the March one's coming off spring break. Like I know I'll probably be gone that 17th, cause Monday there's no school, so a lot of people might be getting back.
I mean, we could keep the same schedule if we want, if we like. We did do some thinking before we made this original schedule in the first Tuesday of the second month of the quarter. The problem was November elections. So if we just chose specific months and we forget the second month of the quarter kind of a thing, since am I hearing any opposition to canceling August?
I think that's a great idea.
Feel like seems to be somewhat unanimous. So we could just choose some specific months, then we don't have to worry about the first Tuesday of the second month of the quarter kind of a thing.
You keep mentioning March, right? Could you just skip the February one, do one in March? And then May and October? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I would probably skip the March to give it a little bit bigger break in between.
You
But
just kept mentioning March. I was.
well, I was saying if we're gonna switch over to like a March, October type thing, but
Okay.
maybe kind of some of what I'm hearing is maybe it makes sense to do February training / exercise, May and either October, November. I guess I'd like to hear some feedback on October or November for that meeting. For the fall meeting? Megan's got something to say.
Well, I was just saying, May's really tough.
May's tough.
Yeah.
For paramedic program kicking off, we got our wildland stuff kicking off, lots of training schedules for our wildland guys.
April, unfortunately, we usually have the spring priorities conference, like either that first or second, so that would take a couple of us out for this, like I'd be at my LEPCA meeting, on that same week.
If you did the third Tuesday on February, April and October, that would work.
April, February, April, October.
I don't mind what schedule it's on as long as it's not on the second Tuesday or Wednesday. But on November, can't we just like we did with the borough? Because I think we just ran into that problem in the assembly meeting where it was running close to the election. Couldn't we just move it forward or back, kind of just adjust in November? I don't think there was much problem in the assembly doing that.
And that's what we have been doing, is just adjusting it each time. So that April one, I think that was March, the issue was the spring break, right? That's what the spring break is. What about April? How does April feel for fire folks?
April.
Is that just early enough?
Well, listen, we're doing a lot of wildland training.
So you're
April,
getting
like,
to it.
April and May is really tough for us.
Yeah, April, I mean, I can make, our department, we can make April work, but it's definitely when we're starting to ramp up.
So am I hearing that maybe February and March, those two meetings being so close isn't great? We could forego the February meeting potentially, just meet twice, spring and fall. I would like to get some training / exercise in there. Maybe we just either have an extended one once a year, or we try and make one of them a little lighter on the business and do a training and then short business. Cause I don't want to only have business once a year. That's a little infrequent.
What date in March are you looking at?
Oh, I don't have a date. I think I wanted to say like the first Tuesday or the fourth Tuesday because of spring break, I think is what I was running off of. The first or fourth Tuesday in March.
Hey, Forrest, if we're doing February, March, and they're so close together, are those going to be productive meetings? I mean, is what's going to transition in between, that close up dates? I mean,
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It sounds like we're hearing that maybe February, we could just get rid of that one.
yeah, I don't mind. I like being here and talking and getting everybody in the same room to go over things, but if it's not really productive, and I know everybody has lives, I'd rather make it worthwhile.
Yeah, and the purpose of that one wasn't gonna be the business in between, it was gonna be trying to come to meet for training or exercise and not have it be 3 hours long or 4 hours long or something. But I think we could probably do a hour to hour and a half training and a half an hour business type thing, on one of them a year, if we just broke it down to business, real quick on one of them. So it sounds like, I don't have an exact date coming from people for either side of whether it's February, March or October, November. So,
Well, just recognizing it's okay if you miss these.
yeah,
Just a handful over the last couple of years doing it, it just happens.
so what if I put together a couple options and I emailed it out to everybody and you guys could just take some time to look at a schedule or something and then reply back and we'll go with the one that gets the most feeling like you might be able to make it on those. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
But let me make sure I got the consensus. Somebody pitch in if I'm wrong on this. Let's meet spring and fall. Get rid of the other two for now. And I'm gonna try and get some training in at least once a year is what I would like. It doesn't have to be long training, but at least some training in once a year. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, now, my favorite part I want to talk about. We need a new chair. So. Oh, look, Megan's here.
Oh.
That's pointed at you. No, so. We have been working, we got a lot of this organized pretty well. And. This committee is not a subcommittee of the Denali Borough Organization. It is a committee that advises the borough. So I'd be interested in that spring meeting if we could have a transition there of a new chair. Currently Vince is the vice chair, and myself being the chair. I would.
Well, he's not here, so I nominate him.
So I would still be here 100% to be helping prepare a lot of this stuff to come to these meetings. But having a chair to give directions to me and operate the meeting, conduct the meetings, things like that. I think it would create just that little bit of separation from it seeming like the borough, this is a borough committee. We want the freedom of this being a committee that advises the borough. So thoughts on that. I'm not saying thoughts on nominations, but thoughts on kind of that separation and seeking a new chair for the spring, starting at the spring meeting.
I believe Joel Minor might be free now.
Actually, he was the first one nominated and he said no.
My only concern would be somebody who, whose job it is to care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the recommendations that I was thinking about is having me be the vice chair. So that I can kind of stay in contact, making sure that we're getting all the prep stuff done, as that is my job, right now. not just stepping all the way back, but being the vice chair and coaching through a meeting or two of how I've been prepping and stuff like that. But that's a good concern. Anything else on that? Then I guess what I did want to do is see if there's anybody that is excited to fill that role and wanted to offer their name up right now. Because it would just be good if somebody is interested, I'd like to know.
Forrest, who's it typically led by in other communities? Like, who's normally the chair in these other boroughs and things?
You know, I don't know, that's an interesting question. I don't know exactly who the chair usually is, but I have noticed that it usually isn't the emergency manager. I've looked at a couple of them and looked at, you know, my role, and it usually isn't the emergency manager. So I can maybe look that up. Why, are you interested?
Absolutely not.
I would suggest offering up, you know, since you guys are switching, you know, spots, just switch seats, and I mean that's who I'd nominate, Vince.
Vince? Okay. All right, well, since I'm not hearing anybody throwing their name out there right now, well, that'll be in what I'll probably try to do. I'm not gonna fully commit to this just yet. I'll probably try and give you guys a midwinter, midsummer LEPC update. So you get in an email. It's not complete silence for 6 months kind of a thing. But if I'm able to get that email, it'll be, please consider being willing to serve as the chair, and also consider who you might nominate as the chair. And I will leave it there for right now. Then, last thing I wanted to do, show you guys something that I think is pretty cool. Okay. Can you move the people? Sweet. Okay. So I was thinking about like an LEPC logo. Not saying this gotta be it, but made an LEPC logo here. There's like it as a coin. Kind of a lapel pin something type thing. But LEPC logo that we currently don't have, again, for that designation differentiation between the Denali Borough and the LEPC. And what I did was I told AI to make me an LEPC logo. And then it made something that looked nothing like this. And then I took a picture of the mountain on our address signs and said, put this in there. And it made this for us. And you can even see it's got like the reflective thing on it. And I think it's pretty cool because the addressing really kind of came up from the LEPC before my time in this job. So it's kind of cool to give a nod back to it, back to those address signs and showing the work that's come from the LEPC. That's something that I might seek some, maybe approval or something through email on what people think, unless you have strong opinions right now. But it'd be pretty cool to maybe have stickers or some pins or something with an LEPC logo on it. If people want more time to think, we can maybe look up some more designs or something for next meeting. But what do you guys think for now? Thoughts on it?
I like it.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Just got to make sure nobody is going to sue us on this one like they did the borough.
Hey. I made it. It wasn't Amber. I mean,
Yeah.
AI and me. I had to prompt it, take a picture and all that stuff. It's my picture. So, is anybody opposed to just using this? Does anybody want more time? Anybody want to put their creative juices to work to create something different?
Go for it.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? how's that look to you coming from media and stuff? Does this look like a unique something that's appealing?
I think it's fine. Good job, Forrest.
Fine.
I mean, it's so great.
Awesome. All right, well, depending on how excited I get, I might just see about making some stickers up or something of this. Kind of unique and cool. But
Great.
sweet. I think that is the end of our business there. So now we don't have any public because all the public joined our committee. So that's cool.
Looking for me.
Everybody, every public that comes, I get to do. So we'll go into member comments. We'll let online go first. Who wants to jump in?
I will.
Here you go.
Good meeting. Best one ever, I think. For
I'm
me.
trying.
Hey, I'm really happy that the fire chiefs are there. I think that's important. And like Megan said, I think they need to be involved in these conversations. And I am really fascinated by Glitter Gulch versus the canyon. So I am going to do some informal surveying. I think I'll write about it and see what people think. Because I too am an old fogey. I always think of it as Glitter Gulch. But I've been trained to not use that in writing because business owners used to get really mad. But maybe that's changed. I'm going to find out.
Hey, do a poll, and I say we take your poll into consideration.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the response is. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
I'm really also really happy that we're getting these evacuation sites figured out before the next wildfire season. I think that's really good.
Thank you. Seamus, you look like you're ready to go.
I don't have much to add to this. This is definitely an informative meeting. I really appreciate the hard work that went into this zoning. I think that's really going to pay off a great deal. As far as Glitter Gulch versus the canyon, I can go either way on that one. I don't, as a business owner, I don't find Glitter Gulch offensive in any way. I guess I'm biased a little bit because the business is called Canyon Clinic, so maybe that would be my vote, the canyon. With regard to the upcoming meetings, I think that a spring one is going to be essential. I'll have more to contribute when it comes down to health related issues, which I think is my role on the board as we're getting ready to open up the Canyon Clinic down there. Gives us the winter to kind of prep and plan and have more of a concrete path forward. So, I think that's a great issue as well too. And then in the spring, or rather the fall, wrap up and we can kind of have feedback and reflections on the season. So I think this is all good momentum.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and jump in and go. I think it was a good meeting. It's definitely productive, definitely worth my time. I appreciate all the hard work you do for us. Definitely welcome to the three chiefs and Trooper Pool. Glad to have you guys here. And yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bill?
Forrest, Bill Moore, yep. So it was a good meeting. I appreciate it and really like the idea of the training and exercise. I think that would really be great at least once a year.
You got 3 more online. Somebody jump in.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Hey, it's great to see all the fire chiefs show up tonight and get involved. I think it's something that they should be part of, and I know they're going to have great input to the program. And from the last couple meetings, this has advanced a lot. I think it's great with all the work we've done. I wanted to thank you, Forrest, Amber, and Chris, because I know it's a lot of work to get all this stuff put together. Other than that, good meeting. Just glad to be here.
Right. Jeff?
All right, just want to give you a run for your money on this design logo. Been farting around with AI while you guys were chatting off with Mr. Hawaii over there. Other than that, great meeting. Good to have all the fire chiefs in there as well. And yep, that'll be it for this one. Hopefully I can get over this raging migraine.
Sounds good. I'll hold off on printing my stickers. All right, Chief Sparks.
Yeah, nothing for the group, man. I appreciate everything, and yeah, if you need anything from me, you know how to get a hold of me.
Will do. Thanks.
Cool. Oh, glad to be here. Looking forward to the future stuff. And also, do we have a representative from Neighbor to Neighbor here? Can I see you afterwards?
No, good meeting. Feel like it was one of our more productive ones. Thanks for all your guys' efforts and welcome to the new members.
I don't have anything to add.
I'm just gonna do a neighbor to neighbor follow-up really quick too, just so everyone was aware. So, some of the evacuees from the summer have been added to the monthly food distribution box. So we normally had like 40-ish boxes that go out, and this month there's 80, so it's doubled just now. And partly might be because of SNAP earlier in the month and also because of the holiday, but it is a fairly big outreach right now. And so I'm imagining Christmas will be even bigger.
Well, thanks for voting me on. Interested in being on and figuring out how, Anderson can best contribute to everything here. We have our wildlife program. It was a really good success last summer, and just want to figure out how I can grow and be an even bigger asset in the future. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. Thanks for letting me join the club. Great meeting.
I guess I'll do all that, but also ask, is there a way I can get a hold of the bylaws and the historical documentation from previous articles and stuff to get better to know what's going on?
Is there a secretary position? Because I think we just had somebody that.
I think it would be great if.
Well, that's a good point. I was gonna hold off on that push until after I got a new chair.
The bylaws say you have to be here for at least 2 years or be wearing a trooper uniform to do it, sorry. Bylaws I haven't read yet.
I will get something out to the new members, just to link probably to our website on the borough website, so you can go directly and see what we have for documentation and stuff there. Thanks for everybody coming. I had written it down before you kind of did a quick report out, but I'll probably in my email ask if people are interested in giving some sort of a quick report out in your category. That would be, I think, useful to at least offer, and rather than me talking the whole time, if you got something useful, well, I think we can make time on the agenda for that. So that's something I want to potentially look at next time. I'm not exactly sure what the next meeting will look like. I want to do some sort of training, but we still need to take care of business. But hopefully it's going to be something everybody's interested in. And it is 8 o'clock, so we're done. Right? Turn the meeting. We don't go over time here.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Boris.
Yep. See you guys later.
Boris, check your phone.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks.
Thanks, Forrest.
Bye.